Hi, everyone. I am Connie Zabo-Schmucker, Advocacy Director at Bicycle Garage Indy. Thanks for joining us for Spotlight on Bicycling. And I have Stu Milligan here talking about Richmond Rose Pedals and his efforts to promote community cycling in the city of Richmond, Indiana. So I have these programs on Mondays, the third Monday of the month. So it's a monthly program at 7, but they're also recorded. So if you happen to miss it, you can go to Bicycle Garage Indy's YouTube page, or I'll also put them on our Facebook page, links to that. And you can also find all the archives, links to the archives on Spotlight webpage, which I'll put in the chat. So without further ado, I am going to turn this over to Stu. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and we'll take care of them. And thanks for joining us. And welcome, Stu. Thanks for coming.
Well, I'm delighted to take part. And Connie, thank you for including me and giving Richmond Rose Pedals an opportunity to share what we've done. So Richmond Rose Pedals, just the name by itself is it calls to Richmond, Indiana's history. We had a flourishing rose industry here for several years in the 1920s through about the 70s. And when I was trying to put together an idea of a bike group, I wanted to get a logo, and a friend suggested that I use the term Richmond Rose Pedals. So I agreed with him and had my artist friend design it, and I'll slide over to my side and you can see the logo. So basically I borrowed the yellow color from a local motorcycle gang. There are 2 gangs in Richmond, and one of them I thought was neat with yellow. And then the tank is really a chain guard, and that is to look like a motorcycle gas tank, but it's actually a bicycle chain guard. And then of course the giveaway is the pedal and the crankshaft, so and the chain, of course. So that's the logo, and that was fun for me. So Richmond Rose Pedals is my effort to create and build community cycling in Richmond, Indiana. Why really, what got my wheels turning? Well, I moved back to Richmond in 2013. I had been away for about 15 years. And there was an Indiana Department of Transportation grant. Richmond was a stellar community and received some different monies for different things, buildings, storefronts, some landscaping, different things that I'm not real schooled on what the Stellar grant offers. But a part of that was to create community. And Richmond selected 2 items from maybe a slate of different things. And one was a downtown park, and they named it after a councilman here. And it's called Elstro Plaza. And it is now the home of the summer farmers market. So every Saturday there's activity, and it draws several vendors, a couple food trucks, and probably anywhere from 50 to 400 people every Saturday. So in addition to the downtown park, they decided to create a protected bike path, what they call the bike loop, and it goes through downtown, and it goes south to an area we call the Depot District here in Richmond, where there's it's an old train area, a gorgeous old historic depot building, and there are a few bars, some restaurants, some shops, but it's dislocated away from our main street downtown area. So they wanted to tie the 2 areas together, and this bike loop was a way to do it. So with the grant money, Richmond was on the hook for 20% of it, and it was about $3 million, maybe $4 million. So Richmond had to pay upwards to about, $800,000 for this bike path to be built. So they've done it in stages. The protected bike loop is one that puts curbing between the cars and some green space for flowers and landscaping, as well as drainage. And then the bike path is then away from the street, away from the curb, and then on its own. So cars can't hit the people. So that's the idea of the protected path versus magic paint you see in a lot of communities. People put arrows or sharrows, bike emblems. That's magic paint. Magic paint doesn't really stop cars. So a protected path is infrastructure with a curb, obstacles, so cars can't run over pedestrians and bicyclists. It's expensive and it's overbuilt apparently to a lot of people, but that's what it is. And that's what we have. It's constructed of brick over concrete and very attractive. So I talked about the Elstro Plaza and then the bike loop. Those two things are what Richmond undertook in 2013 and is still in the process of building the bike loop. However, the park is complete. The community was not on board with this. The previous mayor had it in the works and didn't either communicate a lot to the business owners or residents affected by the changes in the streets. And then when it started to be built, people were like, "Hey, what's going on?" They published meetings. Nobody attended the meetings. Nobody gave input. People that wanted to give input said that they weren't given the opportunity. So about half the people were for it, half the people were against it. And of course, like all of us, we get involved after things are already in motion. So the cons were change of streets and smaller, more narrow streets. They talk about road diets. Well, Richmond got a road diet where the bike path went. Took out one row of parking or all parking, but they built in parking within the bike path. So it wasn't a total parking loss. In addition, people who had commercial vehicles, semis, they had to take a little different route than normal to deliver goods to the downtown stores, as well as the depot district area stores. So that was different and created challenges. And of course, people objected to the 20% cost that was borne upon the Richmond residents. They used some redevelopment funds and TIF monies and different things. So it wasn't an expenditure that they took out of, I don't know, ready cash. It was, there were funds there that were to be used for something like this. The pros, which I like to concentrate on, we have a downtown park with entertainment. Wednesday, food trucks, bands. I'm part of a Shakespeare effort. I don't speak the languages per se or act, but we have Shakespeare performances that take place there 4 times a year. The community groups can rent the park. Again, the farmers market. There's a splash pad. Kids are there all the time cooling off. And then they have a nice bike rack and repair station. A lot of activity going on at Elstro Plaza, which is the downtown park. And it's a great draw. People now go there where before it was just an asphalt parking lot. People would never congregate there. So it's very nice. It sits adjacent to the downtown area, but also it sits adjacent to our public library, and then as well as some active downtown areas. So it's nice. It's in a good location. And then the infrastructure, of course, was meant to provide the community with a more, fun, better mental health, and then of course, physical health, the bike loop being that component. Elstro Plaza is gorgeous, and I don't have a photo. So please look up Elstro Plaza, Richmond, Indiana, and you'll be impressed. And the city bike loop. I did a lot of other photos in the slideshow, but I didn't get that put in there. But if you look up Richmond, Indiana, and look up city bike path or bike loop, you'll find great pictures of it. The negativity that was surprising to me as a bike rider, and I'm not a super huge biker. I don't log thousands of miles. I have done the Hilly 100. I've done the Indy Night Ride. I have participated in an Ohio ride called GOBA, which is a tour usually around Columbus or zigzags north-south of part of Ohio. It's a 5-day ride. I have I attempted the rain ride once, but I made it 120 miles and my seat was sore. But anyway, I do biking, but I'm probably not the serious biker that a lot of SEBA people or Bicycle Garage customers are. But there's a reason for a lot of people to bike, and I try to celebrate the community aspect of it. So negativity towards bicyclists, I couldn't believe it. People hated bikes, hated bicyclists because it was tied to this bike loop. So I thought, let's get over this. I remember during the election time, I was going to be glad, or I was disappointed the election period was over, because then people focused on the fact that they hated the bike path instead of hating a certain political candidate. So that was always surprising to me. So I wanted to do something positive. So Richmond already had nice cycling venues. Most of you have maybe ridden the Cardinal Greenway, 60-mile consistent path, rail to trail, from Richmond, which is the southernmost hub, all the way to Gaston, Indiana, which is just north of Muncie. And it is a great asset for our community. And we attract a lot of tourists here because of that. We have a place called Hayes Arboretum. It was developed by a private individual, and he reforested lots of area. And they have let part of that out to a volunteer group, and they've created several trails. And it is found on Facebook. There might be even a website, but it's called Hayes Arb, as an abbreviation, mountain biking. But Hayes Arboretum is on our east side of town, and they have, I don't know, several miles of trails of different degrees of challenge for mountain bikers, and it's a great asset. And then our park, Richmond, is divided kind of by the Whitewater River. The East Fork of the Whitewater River comes together in Richmond and created a gorge. And in that gorge, there is a bike and walking path that was created years ago, maybe 35 years ago. And it now connects to the Cardinal Greenway. So we have the Cardinal Greenway for long distance riders. We have Hayes Arboretum for mountain bikers, and we have Gorge Park for casual bikers and then walkers. And all three of, well, not the Arboretum, but the Cardinal Greenway and the Gorge Park is connected to the city bike loop. So it's really nice. So making use of the city bike loop, I thought that there'd be a need to do some community rides. So I and a few other people created some things, and the bullet points here on the slideshow, it says Richmond Friday Bikes. So an individual named Josh Imhoff, he suggested on Facebook to meet Friday evenings. It was in September, and just a short 30-minute ride. Well, the city liked that, and they wanted bike programming, so they rebranded that idea to be Friday Night Bikes, kind of like the football movie and popular TV show a few years ago. So Friday Night Bikes was a formal effort promoted by our park department, and they did everything. They had a cool logo. They asked for volunteers. I volunteered. My friend Josh, who originated the idea, and then a Cardinal Greenway person by the name of Brian Schliepler, he led the rides, and they were in the month of October, and about 5:30 for an hour. We looped twice, and then COVID hit. So I thought, boy, there needs to be something done. So I decided to make a monthly effort of a single ride per month. And I called it Richmond Rose Pedals. And I wanted to create a fun theme, but I wanted it to start at the same place. I wanted it to have the same starting point, rain or shine. And then I wanted it to be accessible to people that didn't maybe ride all the time. So different routes that might be 3 to 15 miles. Each route's different. So my first ride that was with the new plan, and this is getting an artist to do a poster, was my idea of the tour of all 3 of our Dairy Queens in Richmond. 8 miles. I test rode it and logged the miles using my Strava app. And it was just a great idea. It went on some pathway. It went on sidewalks. It went through Earlham College. It went through busy streets with traffic at 40 miles an hour and alleys that, no cars. Handlebars and dilly bars. And I told the artist that I love dilly bars, and I imagined one melting on my handlebar as I was eating it. So she came up with this, and I love it. So this was the first ride, and I had 12 people, and it was a lot of fun. That was in August of last year. So we're going to redo this ride this August, and I'll just update the dates, but keep the same poster. The next ride, we have a nice historic park in town called Glenn Miller Park. And I find it to be very hilly. I live near it, and I cut through it to go through downtown and away from US 40 traffic. And there are several features. On this, you'll see owls in a tree. That was an art exhibit that was done once. You'll see a gazebo. We have a rose garden, which still has some of the original rose bushes or ancestors of the original rose bush that was created by the company Hills Roses that had our rose industry in town during those early years of the 1900s through the 1970s. And then there's the bandstand, which is called it's at named after President Roosevelt Hill. And then there's a white decorative iron bridge. And then they used to have a stockyard here by the railroad, and there were bison. So there's one particular hill that's hard to bike, and that's called Buffalo Hill. So all those elements an artist put for me in a poster, and I love this. This is my favorite poster next to the dilly bars. So that was 600, I think, almost 1,000 vertical gain of riding within I think 12 miles. So a lot of climb and challenge on that one. And I did it in 6 different loops. Then October came, and I wanted to do a ride, but there was a community fair the first Saturday. So I asked if I could be part of it. So my next theme was the 4th Street Fair, and it worked out nice. The bike path, the route I created went right through the parade, right between the vendor booths, and we walked our bikes there. But that was kind of fun to go through a fair. And then one of my favorite rides is the Christmas ride. So the joke here, I got several brown shirts for reindeer, a couple of green shirts for elves, one red shirt for Santa Claus. And the idea was to ride in formation on the community bike path or the city loop. So we'd have Rudolph in front, we'd have, all the other reindeer behind him, a couple of elves, and then Santa anchoring the line of people. So my thoughts here was a little bit tongue in cheek. I believe that Richmond community would believe in Santa Claus before they would believe that a bicyclist would use the bike path. So the idea of the Richmond Santa ride was to get Santa and his reindeer and his elves bicycling down on the bike path so people could at least see it. And there's a fun video if you want on YouTube. It's called Richmond Santa Ride, and it's put to music, and it was a couple years ago. This year we'll have our 4th annual. Come around to the spring. You can't ride in Indiana safely between December and April. So the next ride came in April. So we skipped January, February, March. So April, I like kites, so I thought of a bike ride to kite fly, 3 miles long up to a local school. Got permission from the school system to fly kites there. It's kind of in a nice middle of a nice neighborhood in Richmond called Reeveston, and we had a nice day, and there were about 6 of us flying kites. That was a lot of fun. And then I'm a history buff, and in Richmond there was a company named Gar Scott Works, and the Gar family shipped tractors, steam tractors. They were basically power plants, and they ran belts, and they ran all the different attachments of equipment. So imagine, going to the Bobcat store and buying a Bobcat. Well, that's what the steam engine was. And then you buy the auger, you buy the rockhound, you buy the bush hog, you buy the rake, whatever else you want to attach to your Bobcat. That's what these people did in the late 1880s. They built a mansion, mansard style roof, wood frame structure, still standing on 300 acres. That's been basically untouched except by a plow. And it was a neat ride. It's a museum currently. People have weddings there, receptions. We rode to that and got a free tour. And that was a fun thing to do. The Gar Heritage Ride. The last ride was just a couple weeks ago. And we had 10 people. And there's a dam in town that they're going to take out. And it's in where that gorge is that I described earlier. They're going to free that water, so there's more recreational opportunities. This dam is a hazard. There's bad undertow. People have drowned in our community through the years, especially before the civil rights laws. There was no public swimming for people of color. So they would go in one of our 3 rivers that created the one larger river. It's where these 3 rivers are at this point where the water is the fastest and swiftest, and it generated, it was a diversion dam, and it generated hydroelectric power. And the remains of that is this Weir Dam, a structure, and it's dangerous. And so they're going to blow it up. So I thought, hey, let's go bike the city's dams. That sound like I was thinking, let's go for a dam ride, So I came up with biking Richmond's dams. We have 7 dams in town. And the biggest one is our reservoir that supplies 70% of our drinking water. Richmond's a city of about 35,000 people. And we were allowed to walk our bikes across the top of the dam structure. And this reservoir holds, I think, 1.1 billion gallons of water. So it's quite an impressive sight to take our bikes. Nobody had ever seen the reservoir or the dam before. So that was kind of neat. And that was just a couple weeks ago. The next ride, I'd love to invite you all to Richmond. You can come in, do our fun little Richmond Rose Pedals ride, but then go on the Greenway for 60 miles and come back another 60, get 120 plus miles in. That's an easy day for you serious Indianapolis bikers. So the Independence Day ride is an effort of me to highlight our local parks. We're going to go around we're going to go to the gorge, to a park called Springwood. We're going to zip around to a public street through another park called Bicentennial Park. And then we're going to go to our public pool. And we're going to go to our baseball field where we have a college wooden bat league, and our team is called the Richmond Jazz. Richmond has a jazz history. They recorded jazz musicians, and they did that in the gorge where we ride. And so there were famous people that came through Richmond to play jazz. Louis Armstrong, Hoagie Carmichael recorded Stardust here for the first time, and just all kinds of people. Bix Beiderbecke, a clarinet player. They even had music singers. Al Jolson, I think, and then the cowboy, the singing cowboy. I can't, name escapes me, but anyway, he sang here. So hundreds of singers recorded albums here in Richmond. The Independence Day ride is going to be 8 miles and a real simple ride, kind of fun. And this poster, I think, does a nice job of celebrating what we might all do on Independence Day, and that's enjoy ourselves, our friends, our families with a little bit of outdoor recreation and picnic. My contact information is there on the screen. It'll be copied. Call, email, text me. I'm glad to help. If you would like any of my posters, I can put you in touch with the artists and they can design the poster to fit your group. I am glad to share the intellectual property of Richmond Rose Pedals. All my rides are free. The park department sponsors me and prints my posters. They do that with funding from a grant from our local hospital, which is a regional hospital called Reed Health. But I'm willing to share the artist names. They can come up with your own design, your own theme. What the purpose I had was basically to try to build community in Richmond, which is a town not as glorious as it was in our past, but we're hanging in there and coming back. And I see a typo. I misspelled community. So we're building our community back, and we're going to earn that letter N, so it's the proper spelling. And so again, bike riding, when I see a community and there are people on bikes, I think it's more alive than a community that I don't see anybody biking or walking. And I just do my little part, and it's fun for me. And if I'm the only bike rider that shows up, that's okay. I've got a fun logo, and I'm going to go for the ride anyway. So anyway, any questions?
Sorry, I
Here we
didn't
go.
have there. Okay, Stu, how do you think your program and rides have affected the community's attitude towards bikers? Is there any progress on that front?
Well, I believe there is. I'm an optimist. People see more bikes on the bike loop. That's great. So they see it being used. In addition, I think that car drivers are aware of cyclists more. Even if it's just 5 or 10 or 15 riders, they work with each other. A lot of bicyclists are afraid to bike on the streets. I bike on the streets, and the bike path makes it easier. The Cardinal Greenway makes it easier. But I think it's helping reacquaint drivers and cyclists together so that they can share the road.
So I guess I had a question as far as if you can send me the links. I've got your PowerPoint, but if you can send me the links to the video of the Santa ride.
Oh yeah, okay, sure, yeah.
And I know there's a video that we talked about earlier.
Oh yeah. Kurt Andrews took just me. He joined me to ride through town. It wasn't one of the rides, but I took him, around Richmond. He had not biked Richmond before.
Right, and that showed a lot of the loop, I think, in the
Yes
district. And so if people are interested, they can look at that video. So there's another question. Any lessons learned as a community organizer that may help others who want to do something similar in their own community?
Just, stay positive, be a little creative. You don't have to go nuts and hire artists to do posters for each ride. But make it fun, be there, show up regardless if it's rainy. If nobody shows up and rides, show up, invite your friends, ask them to show up. I add cookies and coffee. I have a social hour at 9:30 before each 10:30 ride. So I do a little extra on my own, and that makes it fun. would encourage you to ride maybe a couple different patterns in your town where you live, so that it is bikeable. I've been surprised sometimes that a railroad crossing was impassable, and biked up on it. In 2 days they had torn the intersection out, so had to detour. So it's good to do that. A good new friend said, kind of keep it simple, don't overcomplicate it. And I appreciate his advice. And it doesn't have to be complicated, just fun.
Yeah, I think in Indianapolis, Bike Indianapolis has started doing some community rides, and so they're doing weekly rides in 6 or 7 different areas, and the target audience in a lot of ways for community rides are not the people who are wanting to have a fitness ride or training ride or anything like that. They're people who want to explore the area, and so you kind of have to come at it with that kind of idea, that it's more welcoming to people who are bike curious and want to use the bike to explore their areas.
Yeah, if I may add to that, I use Facebook, and this is a Facebook page, so I just have the events, and I create the event, and then I describe the event, and in the description I call it a slow roll. It's not fast, and I say if it's hilly or not, and you can peel off at any point. And I try to be kind of a, I don't know, can I say Papa Bear or Mother Bear? But I kind of look after the people that might be slower. And then if I have friends that are stronger riders, I might suggest they lead the rest of the group, and I'll hang back and ride with maybe some of the beginners. We've had flat tires, and I haven't been able to finish the ride, and we've gotten them to get their tire fixed. So yeah, set the expectation of how easy the ride is, and it may not be for everybody, but everybody's invited.
Yeah, the rides that I have led, and I lead all sorts of types of rides, but in general, you want to set the expectation at the beginning so people know, what to expect. A lot of people, and I think you did a good job on a couple of your posters where either you don't say how many miles or you've said how long the time frame is, because people don't really who don't regularly ride have no idea how far they can go on a bike. They
Sure.
think 5 miles is horrendously long and there's no way they can do it. And if you tell them, yeah, we're going for a half-hour bike ride, they're like, well, I can go for a half hour. I think I can ride a bike for half an hour. And so, having it be more of a time thing, or, we're going to ride to this place, we're going to ride to this place, and have destinations and, some fun things to do along the way, really changes somebody's mindset as to, oh, we're going to go on this horrendously long ride and I'm not going to have any fun. And so having, setting their expectation, but also, making it so it's something that if they're not a regular rider, they can relate to. I can go for a half-hour walk. Biking is easier than walking. So I'm sure I can do a half-hour bike ride. And
Yep.
or an hour bike ride even. So, a lot of times that's what I've found is a little easier. Especially one of the things that I've done with Ride Spot on Bicycle Garage Indy is curate a bunch of different rides in the 5 to 15 mile range, so that people can self-direct themselves and follow the routes and explore different areas. And we deliberately made them 5 to 15 miles because a lot of people, would come to the bike store and say, okay, I bought this bike. Now where do I go ride? And so we have about 30 different rides that are all over in Indianapolis and surrounding
That's great.
communities. that people can do this free app, Ride Spot, and get turn-by-turn instructions, and it's got a little map, and
That's excellent.
there's stories along with it and photos on them and things like that. And so what I, would suggest you can look at Ride Spot and also do that very same thing. It's a free app. You can add rides, you can add stories. People, when they go on the rides, then they can share them on social media, they can share them with their friends, they can like the rides that they do, they can do a search for rides. And this is a national app from People for Bikes.
Oh, neat.
So,
I need to, I need to graduate from the PowerPoint to Ride Spot. That'd be great.
yeah, so anyway, that's what I would suggest doing, the rides that you're coming up with. That way, people could follow them on their own if they can't make your ride, or
Right.
it just gives, another option for people to do. And yeah, so that's one of the things that I've been doing the last several years. And it's a lot of fun. It actually taps into everything that I like doing. I like exploring. I like taking photos on my bike rides. I like coming up with routes. And so it was really fun curating all the different rides that I got to ride in different areas that I wasn't as familiar with. And I did a mural ride. I don't know if you have any murals.
We do. And that would be a great idea.
Yeah, so I did a mural ride of the downtown area, and especially did it with Major Taylor mural when I wanted to wait until that one was done.
Yep.
And so there's about 6 on that ride. And then, highlighted other, like the B&O trail, and there's a tunnel and a bridge on that. So, you can highlight, how you get to the Cardinal Greenway from this, using the loop, you
Yeah.
can do the loop and also some of the other things. For those people who are who are familiar with the cultural trail in downtown Indianapolis, when you see photos and videos of the loop in Richmond, it's very similar. At least I found it similar to how it was designed, with paving and it's fairly easy to follow.
One thing I didn't mention, but the purpose to always have it at our downtown park is that I would, people to bike into town, it would be difficult to the event. So I want them to bring their bicycles to Elstro, and then from there go on your bike to do things. People, well, I can't ride in town to your event. Well, I want to encourage people to come in with their cars if they need to, and then unload their bikes there. And then they can maybe replicate that with their family, younger kids, or other people. And, the idea, and that's what that's what I'm doing kind of behind the scenes, is getting people to come into our downtown and from there experience the loop and then the other trails that are connected to it. And that's why I have the starting place the same all the time.
Yeah, it does. I think it helps if you have consistency, having the same date, this first Saturday of the month.
Yep.
And the same location, and people know. There's a group that has started in Speedway, Indiana, and they have their rides on Tuesday nights, I think usually at 6 or 6:30.
Oh, okay.
And they usually would do the same route, actually, and it got to be, and they did them weekly, and they started at a brewery, started and ended at a brewery in downtown Speedway. But they would do the same route, and it got to be that people who lived along the route would sit out on their porches and wave to the bikes as they went by, and so it started to actually build, not only the people who were riding community, but the people who were seeing the riders community.
Yeah, and that's fun for everybody.
Yeah, and you might want to, like, especially on, if you go by any residents, if there's neighborhood associations, you might just want to let them know, hey, we're going to do this ride on this date, and you're welcome to join us, but if you can't join us, go out on your
That's,
porch and say hi or something like that.
I hand out about 30 posters each month, and I haven't thought about the neighborhoods. So just kind of the businesses along that area. So I need to do that. Yeah, it's great suggestion. Another one. Thanks.
No worries. So anyway, did you have any additional questions, Ed? Or comments?
I think he's on mute, but there we
There
go.
I go. Hi, Stu. Hi, Connie. No, I just think it's a really cool thing Stu's doing. And I think you're exactly right. There are people who feel intimidated by 30 and 40 and 50-mile rides. And I think the rides you're doing are really appealing. I also want to second what Connie said about Ride Spot, because I've looked myself at a lot of the rides that Bicycle Garage Indy sponsors on Ride Spot. And it gives me a chance to say, yeah, I know that area, or I don't know that area, and I'd like to see it. I think it's a great idea. I just wanted to second that, that's all.
Oh.
And thanks a lot.
Oh, sure.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think we're going to go ahead and end for tonight, unless Stu, if you have anything else. And if not, we'll go ahead and
Just if you are curious to follow Richmond Rose Pedals, it's a Facebook page, and then go to the events within the Richmond Rose Pedals page. You'll see the logo, the yellow with the roses on the chain guard. And then the events show all 9 of my posters. I just think I showed 5, but I'm proud of the posters. I did not design them. I had someone else do it, but they're fun. I think they're fun.
yeah, so Stu, if you want to stop sharing your screen, then I've got the Rose Pedal Facebook.
Oh, great.
I think.
Okay. And then how do I,
Should be something that says stop share.
okay.
And if not, I'll just put the links in.
There we
Okay.
go.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yep, that's good. So let me see if I can do this. Find it.
There we go. Yeah, if you go to events.
Yeah, so I've got events there. Are you seeing my screen?
Yep. Yeah. Just click on events and it'll show.
Yeah.
Maybe scroll down now and you'll see all the posters. Yep.
Yeah.
There we go.
Got the past
So-
events.
Yeah. And then go to more and you'll see the handlebars and dilly bars.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
there I included the map on the fair one. Yeah, there's the park, and I mistakenly created 2 rides for the same poster once. And then, yeah, that was the Independence Day ride last year.
yeah, so you should be able to find them on Facebook.
Yeah, and it's a Facebook page.
Yeah.
And you can mark interested. You don't have to go, but at least mark like and interested and share, and it'd be awesome.
Yeah, so
Within the discussion, I put a lot of pictures of the ride, of each event.
Of the event. Yeah.
Yeah, of each event. Yep, there's a video and different things.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you click on each event and then but not this one because it
Not
hasn't
that
happened
one,
yet.
but the
You go to
previous-
the dam ride one. Yep, and then click on that. And then once it's open, you'll see pictures in discussion. Yep, go to discussion and
Okay.
then you should see pictures. Hopefully, maybe not. Here.
There's some pictures.
So that's the big one, is where we're all walking atop the dam, and The foot, yeah. Oh, great. You're awesome. There's a footbridge we walked our bikes across. That's the one dam that where people, had trouble with. I have a local bakery make a cookie each time, and this is a damn cookie. Each time I bring coffee and 24 cookies that are made to match the event.
Awesome. Yeah, so they look like they're a lot of fun,
Thanks.
and hopefully people will get ideas of what they can do in their community, as well as check out some of your.
Oh, that's Elstro Park, by the way.
Oh,
Where
this
the
one?
video, yeah, that's Elstro Park. And if you hit it play, it's a little long,
This is Eric
but
along
towards the end, you'll see people right up.
Depot District into Jack Elstro Plaza, where this is also a busy place today. The Richmond Farmers Market is going on. They've got rock painters over there. We'll check some of that out later. But this is also the kickoff point for Richmond Rose Pedals ride today. And they are biking Richmond's dams. I've got Stu Milligan with me. Talk a little bit about Richmond Rose Pedals.
Well, Richmond Rose Pedals is basically a bike ride effort, a monthly ride that we do always starting at Elstro Plaza every first Saturday of each month, April through December. And we always start rolling at 10:30, but a little bit beforehand, we have coffee and special cookies made by a local bakery, Sweet Blessings.
Okay. You've got flyers that you put out, and you even mentioned that the flyers each month are done by local artists.
Yes, I try to come up with a theme for each month. Today is Biking Richmond's Dams, kind of to call attention to Weir Dam that is in the Whitewater Gorge that will be removed. It's a over 100-year-old dam that was used to, I think, push power, hydropower for electric for the industry that was once in our gorge.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm gonna stop
Yeah.
that for right now because people
Yeah.
can go and look at the whole thing. But yeah, there's a lot of great information on here and some ideas also for other people.
Great.
So I'm gonna stop sharing this and I'll put the link in the video for this, the video recording, and so people can find it. So yeah, well, thank you again for joining me, and have a great evening. And hopefully we'll see everyone next month. Take care. Bye.